Picture this. A hopeful car buyer steps into a gleaming dealership. Budget carefully mapped out, maybe even a list of must-haves in hand. There's excitement in the air, a sense of possibility. Maybe it's a family looking for their next minivan, a young professional eyeing their first new car, or a retiree hoping to finally upgrade. They've read the headlines about inflation cooling off, and maybe even heard that car prices are starting to dip. But as they walk past rows of shiny vehicles, that optimism quickly fades. The moment they spot the price tag on their dream car, reality hits hard. The numbers are jaw-dropping, far higher than what they'd budgeted for, and certainly more than what they remember from just a few years ago. Despite all the talk about inflation slowing down, the sticker prices at the dealership still feel like a punch to the gut. For many, it's a confusing contradiction. The news says things are getting better, but the numbers on the lot tell a different story. This disconnect between what's reported in economic data and what buyers actually experience is leaving people frustrated, anxious, and even a little angry. They're left wondering if they missed their chance or if the dream of owning a new car is slipping out of reach. And it's not just the high-end models that are out of reach. Prices for minivans, pickups, and even the most basic entry-level cars have all surged. Vehicles that were once considered affordable are now stretching the limits of what many families can pay. Families, first-time buyers, and even those just looking for a reliable used car are feeling the squeeze. Some are forced to delay their purchase, others settle for older or less desirable models, and many are taking on bigger, riskier loans just to get behind the wheel. Even the used car market, once a haven for budget-conscious shoppers, is no longer a safe bet. High demand and limited supply have pushed prices up, making it tough to find a good deal anywhere. The result? Many buyers feel trapped, stuck between cars they can't afford and loans they can't manage. The excitement of car shopping has turned into a stressful, sometimes heartbreaking ordeal. The sticker shock is real, and it's not just a fleeting moment, it's a sign of deeper issues in the market. For many, the dream of driving off in a new car now feels more distant than ever. So what's really driving these prices through the roof? And is there any relief in sight for buyers hoping to get back on the road? One major culprit: tariffs. Over the past few years, the US has slapped hefty tariffs up to 25% on imported cars and parts. This isn't just a minor fee, it's a massive new cost for automakers, whether they build cars overseas or source parts globally. Even made-in-America cars often rely on imported components, so no brand is immune. The threat of even higher tariffs, especially on European imports, keeps the industry on edge and can spike demand temporarily. Ultimately, these government trade policies are a key reason for today's price hikes. The extra costs don't stay with the automakers, they get passed straight to you. In the end, it's the consumer who foots the bill for these economic strategies. Let's take a closer look at Porsche as a prime example of how global economics and trade policies can impact even the most prestigious car brands. Porsche, a name synonymous with luxury and performance, has long been a symbol of aspiration for car enthusiasts around the world. For the 2025 and 2026 model years, Porsche made the bold move to hike prices across its entire US lineup. Some models saw increases of over 3%, a significant jump for vehicles that already command premium price tags. This wasn't just a minor adjustment, it was a sweeping change that affected every model sold in the United States. To put these numbers in perspective, the iconic 911 Carrera now starts at $134,650, the Cayenne SUV at $91,950, and the all-electric Taycan at $106,250. These are not entry-level prices, they're the cost of exclusivity, and they've only gone higher. So what's driving these price hikes? The answer lies in the global supply chain. Every Porsche sold in the US is imported from Europe, which means the brand is especially vulnerable to tariffs, shipping costs, and international trade disputes. With sales growth slowing in China, Porsche is increasingly relying on North America to maintain its momentum. But with higher prices, there's a real risk of alienating buyers here as well, especially as economic uncertainty makes consumers more cautious. Officially, the company points to market conditions as the reason for these increases. But behind the scenes, it's clear that the rising cost of tariffs and the unpredictability of global trade are the real drivers. Porsche's situation is a vivid illustration of how global trade tensions and shifting economic landscapes can impact even the most exclusive brands. No one is immune. For buyers, these price increases make dream cars feel even more out of reach, turning what was once an attainable goal for some into a distant fantasy. It's a tough balancing act for Porsche, trying to protect profits while keeping customers engaged. In today's global market, there are no easy answers, only difficult choices. How does a tariff on automakers end up emptying your wallet? When companies face big new costs like a 25% tariff, they have two choices: absorb the loss or pass it on. Most can't afford to eat those costs for long, so they raise prices. The tariff gets baked into the sticker price, often hidden behind phrases like market conditions. The cost trickles down, from government to automaker to dealer to you. Suddenly you're not just paying for the car, you're paying for trade policy. It feels unfair because the price hike isn't about the car's value, but about outside forces. That's why so many buyers feel blindsided and frustrated. The free market starts to feel anything but free. It's not just car buyers feeling the pinch, renters are too. Rental companies like Hertz and Avis must pay more for new vehicles, so they raise daily and weekly rates. Even a modest 1.5–1.9% increase in the US adds up, stretching vacation budgets. Internationally it's worse. UK rental prices are up 5–7% and Europe sees similar spikes. Labor shortages and the push for electric vehicles drive costs even higher abroad. EVs are pricier to buy and require new infrastructure, adding to rental company expenses. All these costs get bundled into your rental fee, making travel more expensive everywhere. The ripple effect of high car prices reaches all the way to your vacation plans. Tariffs aren't the only factor driving up car prices. There's a whole web of challenges at play. Labor shortages, shifting global markets, and supply chain disruptions are all piling on, creating a situation where costs keep rising from every direction. It's not just about one policy or one country. It's a complex mix of issues that's making it harder for automakers and buyers alike. In Europe and elsewhere, factories and logistics networks are struggling to find enough workers. This shortage means companies have to offer higher wages and better benefits to attract and keep employees, which in turn drives up the cost of making and moving cars. Even the most efficient plants are feeling the pinch, as delays and bottlenecks become more common. Higher labor costs mean higher car prices, even if it's not as obvious as a tariff. When workers go on strike or demand better pay, those costs ripple through the entire industry. Dealerships have to adjust their prices, and consumers end up footing the bill, often without realizing the true reasons behind the increases. Meanwhile, foreign brands are losing ground in China, the world's largest car market. With fewer sales there, these companies are turning their attention to the US and Europe, hoping to make up for lost profits. This shift puts even more pressure on Western markets, as automakers try to squeeze every bit of revenue from each sale. That means less room for discounts and more pressure to keep prices high. Dealerships are less likely to offer deals or incentives, knowing that every sale counts more than ever. For buyers, this translates to fewer bargains and a tougher time negotiating a better price. American buyers end up paying more, not just because of local issues, but because of global trends that are out of their control. Whether it's a shortage of parts, higher shipping costs, or international competition, all these factors combine to push prices higher at home. Every sale in the US has to be as profitable as possible for automakers. With shrinking margins elsewhere, companies are laser-focused on making each transaction count. This means tighter pricing strategies, fewer incentives, and a relentless drive to maximize revenue from every customer who walks through the door. The result? A perfect storm of rising costs with consumers caught in the middle. It's not just about paying more for a new car, it's about feeling squeezed from all sides, as everything from gas to maintenance gets more expensive. For many families, the dream of a new car is starting to feel out of reach. The global economy's interconnectedness means price hikes can start anywhere, and land right in your driveway. A shipping delay in Asia, a labor dispute in Europe, or a policy change in the US can all have ripple effects that end up affecting what you pay for a car, no matter where you live. It's a reminder that car prices are shaped by forces far beyond your local dealership. The next time you see a price tag, remember, it's the result of a global balancing act, with automakers, workers, and consumers all trying to weather the storm together. The push for electric vehicles is another costly twist. Automakers have poured billions into EVs expecting quick adoption, but US buyers remain cautious. Concerns about price, range, and charging infrastructure slow EV sales, leaving companies with big investments and slow returns. To cover these costs, automakers keep prices high on both electric and gas models. Battery materials like lithium and cobalt are volatile, adding more uncertainty. The industry is stuck between expensive innovation and hesitant consumers. The result? Higher prices across the board whether you want an EV or not. The road to an electric future is proving expensive for everyone. The cost of change is landing squarely on the consumer. Here's the paradox. Government data says inflation is cooling and car prices are down, but buyers aren't feeling it. The average price might dip, but that's because unpopular models are heavily discounted. The cars people actually want, trucks, SUVs, luxury models, are seeing the biggest price hikes. Automakers are strategic, raising prices on bestsellers while leaving slow movers untouched. So, while headlines promise relief, shoppers face sticker shock on the lot. The gap between economic reports and real-world experience is wider than ever. Price increases are concentrated in sectors hit hardest by tariffs and global pressures. For families, the official numbers feel out of touch with reality. The result? Confusion, frustration, and a sense that the system isn't working for ordinary buyers. So, who's responsible for these sky-high car prices? It's not just one villain, it's a web of government policy, corporate strategy, and global market shifts. Heavy tariffs imposed by the US government are a direct cause, raising costs for everyone. Automakers, facing shrinking profits abroad, raise prices here to compensate. Vague explanations like market conditions don't help consumers understand what's really happening. The American car buyer is caught in the crossfire of trade wars, profit strategies, and the costly EV transition. The blame is shared by policymakers, corporations, and global circumstances. Understanding the causes doesn't lower the price, but it explains why your dream car now feels out of reach.